Hello and welcome to another evening, or whenever you're watching this, but if you're watching it live, episode of Great Train Layouts Live. I am your host, Nick Oserak, and thank you for joining me for yet another exciting layout build. Today we are going narrow gauge, and for the first time on this show, we are doing On30 narrow gauge. So we've got an exciting build ahead. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to chime into the chat if you're tuning in live, because this is a group collaboration, and I always enjoy having you along for the ride. Before we get into it, though, hi, Millennial Modeler, who says that he likes trains. You've come to the right place. And White Star, doing good. I hope you are doing well, too. So, what do we got on the docket tonight? Well, this is a Bernard Kempinski track plan. He's probably best known in model railroading for the Aquia line, O-scale Civil War era layout that he's built over the past several years. Was recently featured in Railroad Model Craftsman. Beautiful layout. Want to do it sometime. Probably bigger than a live stream. Definitely bigger than a live stream. But that's not what we're doing tonight. We are turning our pages. We are going to the bookshelf for 45 original track plans. Let me see if you can see that or not. I don't know if you can. Hopefully you can. Yes, okay, you can see that. So this is an out-of-print Kalmbach model railroader book that has, well, 45 original track plans. It's very truthful in that. And if we turn to page 24, we will see a track plan called Overland Route, with the idea being that this is set on the... so the original track plan, I should state, is an HO 4x8, 8x4, 4x... so it's standard gauge, Central Pacific, Union Pacific, more Central Pacific, post completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. We are tweaking it because I felt like doing something with an On30 flavor, so we've kind of shrunk it because, as you probably know, On30 means you're doing narrow gauge in O scale with HO scale track. So hypothetically, you build this and just accounting for your clearances as a 4x8, you can build it standard gauge, but you can also build it as a narrow gauge O scale, and that's what we are doing tonight. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get to the track lane. This is going to be a nice little itty-bitty build for tonight, and a good way to answer the question of what do you do when you have the craving for On30, but not a lot of space, and also not a desire to do something terribly complicated. That is what we are exploring here. Hello, Ron. Hello, Mikey. And Joe. I am doing well. Thank you guys for tuning in. So, as we start, as always, with the track. Actually, before I get too far into the track, let us place our turntable. The turntable is always the one thing that's very, when it comes to these trains builds, that's very specific about where and how it wants to be placed. That looks okay. Our track's able to clear that. Our turntable is going to be a bit bigger than the one accounted for in the plan, but also I had to kind of modify the size of the plan to account for the fact that it's narrow gauge On30 as opposed to standard gauge HO. So why did I choose this? Other than I love my 4x8s, as you know. You know the slogan here is, we don't hate the 4x8, or don't hate the 4x8. Well, the reason is because, actually, right before last month's live stream, I had the opportunity to take a vacation to Yellowstone National Park for a few days with my lovely wife, with 1 day spent in Grand Teton. And while the national parks themselves don't obviously have any railroads in them, they did have railroads leading up to them. Yellowstone on the west side had a Union Pacific branch, And then from the north, which is how we came into the park, there was a Northern Pacific branch. It's pretty cool. You could actually very easily see the right of way. So the track was taken out in the 80s, but you can still see the original right of way that the Northern Pacific used. It's very obvious. So it was kind of neat driving in and seeing that. But then in the park, it was obviously very gorgeous and very beautiful. But the thing that I kept thinking to myself wandering around is this is what the surveyors way back in the 1860s, late 1850s, early 1860s would have encountered when exploring the West. There was nothing except this natural beauty, and obviously we've done a lot to tap into that beauty over the years. But the national parks are one place where you can actually appreciate it in its original state. And so I was thinking about that. It's definitely thinking of Railroads Online on multiple occasions, and kind of the vibe of that game. So I really wanted to build a layout inspired by that trip. So we are straying from the Central Pacific standard gauge theme of this, and we're doing a sort of Western narrow gauge, but not. I might need to turn down the music a little bit. So we're doing Western narrow gauge, but we're not doing the Colorado stuff. There will be another day for Colorado adventures. This is for. This is more like the. There's a railroad, and actually we'll be playing with the stock later, but you will have seen it in the thumbnail. The Carson and Tahoe Lumber and Flume Company. Logging and Flume? One of those two L's. Which had the Glenbrook and the Tahoe steam locomotives, which still survive today. Kind of that sort of vibe is what we're going for. So, as you can see, we've already got the track just about done. This is part of the simplicity of this design, whether you do it as an HO or an N build, is it be flat. It be entirely flat. So you don't have all of the struggles of grades and so forth. This is very approachable as a project, because you can get that sheet of plywood from your local lumber company, and you're basically good to go. We'll get there's a little bit more to it than that, especially when it comes to the earth shaping we're going to do for this scene. But this is a great book, I will say. If you could get a copy, if you love looking at track plans, you're trying to get ideas, this is a tremendous book. One of the best I own. Many different eras, different gauges, different concepts. Wonderful, wonderful book. This one stood out because I thought, well, it's a good size for a live stream build. And it's something different thematically. You know, I love me my transition era. I love me my late steam, but yay for doing something a bit different. So let us get up our walls. No, not wall. Our dividers. So we're going to do our single. We're going to get these up now just because that's going to help to further separate these scenes. And I think that's probably the number one reason why I really gained an interest in this, is I thought, this is something kind of, and then I need double. Something different, and it's, I keep losing my train of thought. What is this? I like how it has the divided scenes, like these clearly divided scenes. And sometimes you might want that, sometimes you might not. We've definitely done a mixture of open 4x8s versus closed. But I like what we're going to do with this. What we're going to do with this is we're going to have these three very clearly divided scenes and really try to go with very different spirits to each, if you will. I suppose I should do that in black. I'm getting overly fancy with this. I would not need to be this fancy, but sometimes it's fun to be fancy. And then we'll go back to the double regular up until here. So, I told you a little bit about my Yellowstone trip. I'll tell you more about it as we go on, but feel free in the comments to share what you have going on this summer as far as vacation destinations, whether they be rail related or not. I will say, though, I love seeing my trains, and I did get to see trains on that trip. Sometimes it is nice. This may be a shocking thing to say, but sometimes it is nice to get away from them. I know, scandalous. But sometimes it is nice. There we go. That just gives us the biggest amount of room. Then we use this from here to here. And I love I mean, it's so congratulatory to say I love these backdrops, but I'm really happy with how it turned out as a system. It just makes it so easy to do these different kinds of... Oh, I need to put in a... I might need to open that all the way across to get it to do quite what I want. So single with the short, and if I go here to here, I mean, that does open it up more than I want it to, but I also don't want to get too caught up on something like this, so we're just going to stick with that for now, and I might hone it in a bit more later. But it gives us our basic dividers with holes for being able to have our trains go from scene to scene. So, there we have it. Looking at your comments, you like that there's no 90-degree corners in the backdrops? Yeah, smooth backdrops definitely the way to go when you can. Ron, you've been watching O30 videos of Thunder Mesa Studio. Yeah, O30 has its fans. It's a very tempting thing to get into. Hello, it's Trains Time. Tetsu, you're working on a fictional HO on the Bethlehem and Beaver Falls Common Carrier turned Railroad Museum in Pennsylvania. I love seeing what people do in the tourist area. Do keep us posted on how that goes. And Millennial, you're headed to Reading Northern to see 2102. Have fun. I forget if you were able to tune in last month or not, but we got to play with Reading 2102. We did a Reading themed build here on Great Train Layouts Live. That was a fun one to do in conjunction with Broadway Limited. Okay, now I got to put on my thinking hat. Now we got to get some we need to make sure we've got buildings that work for what we're doing now. Yeah, you're able to see my mouse because I haven't changed anything. So, on this side, it's just the trestle. Over here, this is our wharf. Burning labels it as Sacramento. I don't know what I'm calling it yet. This is apparently a boarding house. This is unlabeled. This is our train station with another unlabeled building and a warehouse. So, and then we've got this wharf. Oh, I forgot yeah, kind of hard to tell. I forgot that bit. There is a siding that we need to put in for the wharf. There we go. Now I'm going to have to change some of these tracks once we actually put the wharf in to a different type, but... Sorry, I thought I heard my cat. But for now, that will work. So that's what we've got going on over here. I did some shopping in advance. Hopefully I've done enough. This is going to be our warehouse building. Ignore the fact that it says it's an apiary. The beauty with Train Z is that you can take any building you want and repurpose it to what you need for the sake of your build. I think that's some of the fun of it, honestly. Like, yes, it's really gratifying when, okay, if you're doing a real layout, a real layout, well, real layout build or a real world build, and you want it to look exactly like the actual thing. Um, that's then certainly you are going to try to find the exact building. But sometimes it's kind of fun to be like, hey, this wasn't designed for this purpose, but I've just turned that into a warehouse. Yippee. I need a nice depot now. I don't think I picked one out yet. Um, so, oh, yes. Well, we'll get to that when we get to the wharf. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Um, so I want to look at my depots and see what I've got that might fit. I want to do something that I don't usually do as far as depots, because oh, I put all this on the wall layer, didn't I? Yeah. Well, at least I don't need to hide the wall layer, but I should switch back to the root layer before I just get endlessly caught up in that. Okay, so I like the building. The track's kind of in the wrong location, but I could hide this. Because I don't really... When I do these things, I'm not super hung up on whether or not it's different color and different kind of vibe. Like, I don't usually go with a green. But that's kind of a neat building. Is this the same? Yeah, that's the same basic design. I've done URR and end stations, although maybe that fits a little better. I mean, Okay, audience, first vote of the night. Are we going with Brunner on the left or Drain on the right? Which do you think we should go with? I know what I'm inclined to do, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Bigger depot, smaller depot, your choice. Leave your votes if you're watching along live in the comments. Meanwhile, I'm going to see if I can find a boarding house. Oh, that was quick. Boarding house. Yay. I don't love the color of it, but it'll do. For now. Maybe I have another... Oh, that's a nice one. That's got a little bit more character to it. Yeah, let's go that. That's a nice... That's a nice building. And then I just want a small house. Just a small little house here. I think it's going to do the job nicely. Maybe a mess hall? That actually looks nice right next to the boarding house. And thematically fits. Trick with trains is you get so many buildings from so many different modelers. Making them fit with each other can be kind of an art within and of itself. Drain, 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 drain. Okay, well, you guys have spoken. Drain it is. Plus, then I actually might be able to use the interactive industry part of it. If I forfeit that house, which I'm kind of thinking I will. I'll put the station here, and then maybe we'll put some kind of house on the other side of it. Because the house isn't labeled, so you can read any number of reasons as to why that might be. We're going to go 95.7, match the angle on that. And then we need to split our track, like so. And then we'll move this here. And then move that here. Yeah, you guys are right. And that's kind of what I was leaning towards. Maybe we'll fit Brunner on the other side. But I like Drain here. It looks right for the space. And I don't know if we need another building or not. Let's... So, in the original illustration, we don't have any roads or anything here. But I'm kind of wondering if we need a road. It shows a lot of... So there's logging stacks here. We got trees. We got kind of a thin dirt road. It makes sense that we'd have a road here. So I'm going to say this is a road through here with a road back here. I do want one other building. I think we should have one other building of some kind. But I also don't want to get too hung up on this one thing. So maybe we'll We'll work on some scenery, and then I'll come back to that idea of if we need another building. But what we do need is we need a wharf. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to have a boardwalk that there we are. Starts here, goes all the way down here. And boom. And I am going to want to modify the track. I mean, I might want to just modify the... I might just want to modify the height of it, too. I'm going to modify both things, honestly. We'll start with the height of this. Maybe I don't need to worry about the track, because that kind of just disappeared into the deck of it. So that's one end here, that's one end here. Now our track is in the boardwalk. Oh, closed my book. Now you might say, well, Nick, why do you adhere so much to these track plans? Like, you don't, like, you could just, you know, riff it a little bit. And sometimes I do, and we play with that. But to me, there's kind of a fun in having that restriction of saying, okay, I'm going to try to limit myself to the vision of what this original one was. If I'm riffing off of it, it's going to be a much more substantial riff, if that makes sense. It's like I'm going to really say I'm not trying to adhere to this at all. Reminds me of one of my favorite TV shows. Did any of you guys ever watch, this is really random, a TV show called Monster Garage? It aired in the late 2000s on Discovery. And that show the premise was every week, a team of builders led by this guy named Jesse James, who was a motorcycle fabricator. They'd have all these guest fabricators, mechanics, so forth come on, and their challenge was to take a car and give it some extraordinary function within 7 days. As the announcer would put it, on the first day they design, for the next 5 they build, and on the 7th day they race. If successful, each crew member walks away with $3,000 and a set of Mac tools. And the clock starts now. Oh, man. Sorry, I got caught up in a wave of nostalgia. Point is, I love that show to death so much. And I think part of what made it so cool as a premise is that there was this limitation. It's like, yes, this Ford Mustang had to become a lawnmower, but they couldn't just turn it into a lawnmower. It had to still look like a Ford Mustang. I know this is really far off the idea of layout design. It's just kind of the philosophy applied to a lot of things. It's like, it's a fun sort of creative. Ooh, I like that. Like, I was thinking of doing, yeah. Oh, I dig that a lot. Sometimes creativity's fun when you have limitations imposed on you, rather than just, oh, I could do whatever I want. And honestly, I mean, look, a lot of my creativity is taken up by freelancing and by being a filmmaker who does the work that his clients are looking to do. So that's kind of become part of my MO as far as like, but you know, that's the wonder of model rarity, is that you bring your own philosophy to it and you do with it as you see fit and whatever you define as fun. Could be a water tower near the station. Good suggestion. It's train's time. We don't have one already. And that's tempting. It's interesting, too, because we only have one turntable. So I kind of feel like it's this odd juxtaposition where on the one hand, you're running tender first one direction, but on the other hand, it does kind of make sense if you can turn your power and service it a bit. We'll go the water tower route. I do agree with you. I think that's the way to go. And I think I actually know what kind I want to put into play. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, this is a nice itty-bitty one. But I think that's a little too itty-bitty. That's kind of backwoods. I want something a little bit more substantial. I think I mean, that's a cool design. I could just kind of ignore the other side of it. Huh. Interesting. I could use this, because it's maybe a little too... I don't know. It's a neat structure. Maybe I'll save it for the other side. I'll put it over there for now. Know that there's a... Oh, Carter Bros. That's what I was thinking of. Because there's a lot... This pack has, like, an insane amount of ones in different colors and so forth. Doubles and singles. I think this might be the way to go. What do you guys think? Or maybe... Nah, I need something with a little bit of green in it. Yeah. Enclosed. There we go. Yeah. Maybe that's too green? Let's keep looking through them. Could do an unpainted one, but station looks nice. You need a little bit of color. We got white. Actually, I think I want that DRGW one that I saw earlier. Yeah, yep, this guy. Yeah, it doesn't quite match the station, but it looks pretty. So I'm going with that. So I want to move the station over, because that I do want to have connected to the system of things. Actually, I might put this on the straight, and then we'll have the road cross over there. That makes sense. Maybe it's a little too awkward at that angle. It does look better in line with the station. It does. Okay, we'll just finagle this track geometry a wee bit to accommodate for that. So I'm gonna move. That's weird. So we're gonna take that and connect here. Have a little jumper between the two. Make sure this one's at roughly the angle we want. Straighten that track out like so. Did anybody else here? I recognize that for some of you, you might not have even been alive in the early 2000s, but I'm wondering if anybody else remembers Monster Garage. It's kind of been lost to time, which is too bad. It was a really cool show. I have so much nostalgia for that. Ooh, I'm liking how that looks. I am liking how that looks a lot. I think I got the angle wrong on this, though, so I'm going to need to do a little of finanglescence. And yes, finanglescence is a technical term for when you're trying to get something in just the right way you want it, like. So, cool. Okay, so those are buildings. Now we're going to get into the landscaping. So his plan shows a paddle steamer. Oh, paddle steamer and a schooner. This is also going to be determined how we place the water, because I do want to use actual water for this. No, you don't get it in actual model railroading. But I like it for this. Oh, I'd have to go all the way out there. Maybe that's worth it. Just to be able to fit the schooner in there. Let's see, if I try to put the schooner here, it's one tile over too much. Well, I might just end up extending that out a wee bit. Or maybe not using actual water. I like using the actual water because you could do the ripples and effects with them, but sometimes it's worth just having a cleaner edge. I think I have a paddle wheel steamer. Steamer? River slug. mean, that's a cool thing. I almost kind of want that instead. Let's see what our options are. That's a tramp steamer. That's a little too modern and a little too big. I think that's a bit too modern. That feels like early 1900s, and we are trying to go for 1890. Ooh. Ooh, I dig that. That's a... I mean, it's almost a little too much. Man, this is taking me back to when we built that UR and RN layout, but it's impressive. I mean, yes, like from a practical standpoint, it makes it hard to reach if you were to build this in real life. It makes it hard to reach in there. But there are going to be a lot of layouts from which this fits, and that just looks so cool. So, what do you think, guys? Do you think this is a little too much, or do you think... No, I'll keep that for the moment. Too much or just right? While you respond, I am going to do some terrain painting. Going to, and I did scope out some of these, so we're going to do a nice coat of... Do I want this to be my base? A bit dirt. Yeah, something like this as a base layer, just for change of pace. Like so. So that's our base. From that, I'm gonna add a little bit of this into the mix in spots like here. Here, in the back over here. I feel like I should put some kind of forest backdrop or something back there. I'm not sure yet. Too big of a boat for that scene. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it's awesome, but it is kind of now like totally what the entire scene's about. Sometimes you gotta reel it in. But that's the beauty of doing these train-Z builds, is that you can kind of... Oh, that is the one. You try something and you're like, oh, well, that was worth experimenting with. Didn't quite go the way I wanted it to, but I got to try it at least. I like these tramp steamers, though. And the schooner. So I haven't found a quick bit of shopping to see if there's a paddle wheel boat on the download station I can grab quickly. Paddle wheel boat steam. I'm going to download this one and we'll see if we like it. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. You know, it's very low stakes. That's also a cute one. Okay. We've got a couple paddle wheel steamers en route. Now we need to look at ballast texture, which I thought it saved the... Oh, there it is. So here is our matching ballast texture, and it goes with the... like so. And then I need something for the dirt roads, kind of differentiate. I need some kind of PBR mud, maybe even? Like a... yeah, just to kind of provide accent and slightly different. I like that. It's interesting, like what I'd really love to have back here is like an 1890s city backdrop. I just know that that would take some doing work-wise. And we can't do it with actual 3D buildings here because it immediately touches the other side. So, which I will say, I do like the fact that you could have full buildings as opposed to just building fronts here. Let's go with a forest, just because I feel like we don't have some kind of forest. It's going to feel a bit empty. I mean, I like the coloration of it. I think it's a little too dark. I know I've used this one before. Maybe a bit too Eastern. There's, this might be our ticket. Yeah. Yeah, I think this will do the trick. I mean, it does give a much more rural impression to our town, but the challenge with trains is just when it comes to these model railroad type things, there are not. Oh, I need to lock the floor. Um, there are not a lot of. I mean, a lot of times I am just making my own backdrops if I really care enough about the thing, because there aren't a lot of options to choose from where it's like, especially when it comes to cities. And I get it, cities are a lot of work to make a custom one. I mean, even with layouts, there's a layout that I'm building right now, off stream, that it's based on a real layout. And I actually contacted the guy who made the real layout and said, hey, can you send me the photo backdrop that you made for your print for your real layout? And cool guy, he did send it. That's going to be a fun one to showcase. It was going to be a stream, and then I got super into the details. I thought, okay, that's going to be another thing. All right, so we're looking at some paddle wheel steamers to see what else we have here. Oh, are those? Why am I not seeing them? I thought I downloaded that. Oh, weird. Oh. Maybe the Train Z server's down. It says unable to contact server. So much for my shopping trip. Maybe the download station's down. Well, okay, for the time being, we're going to do 2 boats. But this is slightly larger, or wider, so we're going to switch it to here and here. And I think that will be okay. We'll also be lowering it down. I'm worried that even this feels maybe a bit too big. Maybe we'll just stick to this guy for now, and something a bit smaller. Because it is Millennial Modeler's right. I don't want to go too big. Okay, we'll just do this and this. Because that's not going to be too overwhelming. So those are going to be our boats for this scene. And now we have to do the groundwork for those. So we're going to lower this down. And we just kind of have to see what's a good height. One of the many reasons I love pre-visualization is that, you know, before you ever touch your physical tools, you can just play around in the sim and say, well, what looks like a good place to put that mountain? What seems like a good place to, what's a good height for this pier as it appears? I know that was a terrible pun. I apologize. Kind of, sort of. I apologize and then I do it all over again. You know how it is. Oh, that's not going to raise because it's locked. I'll focus on that later. Yeah, now it's almost like a little too low. So I think I want the water. This is okay for the ground level, but then when I put in the water level, we're going to put it a little higher up. Let me see what the water looks like one more time before I commit one way or another. Okay, so if I do the water, yeah, it's like, oh, I just needed to come out to here, but it would have to come out all the way to there. Which it's like, yeah, I could extend. Okay, so I could extend the edge of the layout to include that. So we do this, we lower it to here. It's just that then your edge of the layout's all the way over here, and it makes it slightly less compact. Much as I want to have real water, we are going to use a spline for this. Searching spline and spline. River is what we are looking for. While I am putting this in, I want to take a moment and thank those of you who support Great Train Layouts live through Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/theroundhouse, for as little as $1 a month, you're getting early access to the layouts that release before they go public on the website. And recently, yeah, it's not choppy enough. I kind of want this one. That's more artistic. Perfect. Okay. So yes, layouts are released there at least a month before they are available on the website. So if you like what you see and you think, I want to get early access to train layouts, then that is the place to do it. Yeah, I'm going to actually have to extend out to here at least. So we've sunk our battleship. So we will raise it up to here and here. I kind of don't like how I like how choppy it is. I don't like how bright it is, but maybe that's just me. It's kind of hard to tell with the side there, but it does feel a little distracting. Maybe I could combine them though. Like I'll put one on top of another, so I get the texture of the one, but not having to. Yeah, there we go. Although I think that's a little too wide because it's probably going to mess with my... that's going to mess with stuff on the other side. But that's okay. Because I could use this one raised up to that height. And move it here and here. And boom! This is why I love Trainsy and the ability to kit bash. Because now we've taken that water that we like and we made it a little darker. And now we've still got the waves, but it isn't so demanding. I like those boats. I think those are good boats to have in the scene that don't... Something tells me that ship's sitting a little too low. There we are. Yeah, right about there. Maybe a little lower on this guy. And we'll turn him like so. That's fun. That's cute. I dig it. Okay, so we're getting close to done here. I do want to put in the dirt road. I don't know why I have a switch stand there. Actually, we're going to use some old school harp switch stands for this guy. As much as we can. Except I need the other, I need the left hand. Left side, left, I think is what I want. Nope, left, right hand. Well, it's not animating, so... Oh, interesting. That's not quite what I wanted. But you see what we're going for. We're going to have actual harp switch stands, because harp switch stands are cool. So I got the wrong one. I'll have to go through and, like, perfect these a little bit more, but maybe that is what we want. Nope, that is... Also, I need the right-hand one, I guess. Right hand, right side, left hand, maybe? That looks right. There we go. There we go. Okay, I got the right switch. Now I only have to do that 2 more times to get the right ones there. But I might just use that as placeholder and then figure out. Actually, this one here probably should be invisible. It just feels a little... Oh, and I can't delete it because I locked the walls layer, and that's on the walls layer. Yep. So we go here to our that. We delete that. And we go back to the root layer and put that there for now, and then I need an invisible switch stand for that center. Invisible lever for here. Sure. Okay, that dirt road. Yes. Like so. Although I don't actually want a narrow, I want a wide. So we'll have it going to about here. That's where we're going to put some lumber stacks. And then I feel like, yeah, I feel like this is just going to be a big kind of big old crossing type of thing. Something along those lines. And then I need some log stacks. Log wall, log fence, floating logs. Pine stacks. Perfect. There we go. Boom. Now we can do things. Let's go with another PBR dirt. I want to blend the road a little bit more. I do want it to still be kind of dark because I feel like I'm going to do a lot of lighter colors on the other side, I think. Anyway, let's see if we could get... This house feels a little small. I think if we're going to go... If we're not going to have a lot of backdrop, we need bigger buildings. Kevin Siebert, genius. Oh, thank you. KDS, will there be an On30 Glen book? There will be an On30 Glen book. At least in the sim. I can't attest to real life. But in the sim, we're going to get to that. Once we're done with the build, we're going to have ourselves a fun play session with this. So I'm going to look up hotels. I actually think a nice, meaty hotel would do the trick. I know, you're going out, you're going on vacation, you think to yourself, where can I find a meaty hotel? Ah, and there's your meaty, a little too meaty. Yeah, something like this, just a little bit bigger. I mean, it's supposed to go the other way, and doesn't. Oh, actually, if I put it over here, it'll go into the backdrop, and then I can put it that way. That could be interesting. I mean, it does cast a shadow on the other side, but that's not a big deal. I like that. Let's see what else I could do. We need some other big... CDN has some nice buildings. Let me see what CDN's got here. I think this might be a little too modern. Search Carson. Carson also... There's a lot of Pencil 42 buildings under the Carson name that I think... Okay, that... The Carson Saloon. Kind of wrong... Well, I could do it like that. Yeah, now I think that'll be good enough. Like, we could probably make it look even more busy than that, but just for the sake of having something, I think that's good. I'm gonna make sure that's straight. This is gonna curve out here. I do want one of a plank kind of boardwalk type of thing going through here. That is illustrated on the plan, and I think, yeah, that'll give it some nice character. Actually, is the other side supposed to be the front? No. I think that is the front. It'll do. We're trying not to get too caught up on what is and is not perfection here. Because honestly, perfection's overrated. Yeah, it's looking nice. I feel like I could get one more building in here. Like, this is a nice building. It does fit. But it feels kind of like empty. Like I've got all this room and what am I supposed to do back here kind of thing. Maybe there's another Carson building I can fit into the backdrop that'll just sort of... E is what doesn't appear. Well, actually, it could be kind of interesting if it appears on both ends, but just so long as it's not... Actually, it's going to be underground there. So that, I think, will work. Good enough. I could play around with that a lot more, but I don't want to get too caught up in ideals of perfection. Nice little track here, I think. Except it looks weird because it's not the same color. Oh, these problems. That's an interesting structure. I don't know that I can really do anything with it here, but we'll come back to that thought. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else I really want to deal with here before I move on to the next scene. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this. I will say this is good. This makes me happy. Let's see what you guys think. Hotel is a good idea. I'm happy with how that looks. Now this is true North Pacific Coast look. Yeah, I suppose that's what I'm going for. I think Northern California is sort of what I'm going for with this. And I think that looks good enough. Okay, we've got our water tower, our station, our warehouse, our pier track. I'd say that is good enough for... I'm going to need probably do a little bit more with this, but I'll worry about that once I'm in vegetation mode. In terms of basic building blocks, we are good here. I'm going for a water break. I'm going to take a look at your comments, see if anything else is coming. Good evening, SD Pandy. Glad you could join us. All right. Let's see. So, yeah, let's do this trestle scene. Let's take this on. So, the trestle scene. This is what we have to work with as far as an illustration. Basically, just, it is a trestle, and that is all. And that's okay. You know, there's something to be said for this. One could ask the question, well, why separate, given that it is this, why separate it from this scene? I think the reason we'll be glad that we did... I'm going to turn that off because, yeah, we don't really need that for anything. Sometimes you want to convey a greater degree of distance when it comes to that in-between. For me, I like a railroad, no matter how big or small, that really conveys a sense of you've gone from one place to another. And obviously with a 4x8, any 4x8, you don't have a lot of room to play with. So how do you work around that? And that could be any number of ways, but for this one, I think the answer to that is we are completely closing off these scenes so that when you are in this scene, you cannot see anything else because there are these big view blocks. These trees are looking a little small. I might have to not curve them so nicely, much as I want to. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, now this one, we're going to get to our earth forming here. What I have in mind... What do I have in mind? Oh, what do I have in mind? First, I have in mind making sure my track height doesn't change on me. I don't want my trestle slowly sinking into the ground. That's not the way I want to go with this. And while we're at it, we'll just level all these two, because the maximum percent grade on this is a big old goose egg. Big old 0. And sometimes that's nice. Honestly, I'll say with Greenfield Village, I'm so glad the layout that I'm building in my home in real life. It's nice to not have to worry about that kind of thing. And we're going to go big on this because I feel like I really want to convey middle of nowhere. And I feel like having this dramatic scene is going to be such a change from the other scenes, because both of the other scenes, they'll have some earthworks, but not to this extent. Now, you know, okay, so I had the thought that just came into my mind as I'm looking at this is I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to have it be like a canyon. Because if I were to do a canyon would look cool, but then you'd need the right kind of backdrop to illustrate that the canyon continues. And as we've discussed with Train Z, it's hard to get backdrops with depth unless you custom make one. And maybe I could do that. But the idea that I just thought of, that I thought this will look cool, is, okay, hear me out on this. So when I was in Yellowstone, there was when you're coming in from the north, there's a town called Mammoth Hot Springs, and then from there, if you're going towards, say, Old Faithful, you continue down this this one road, because you only have so many different roads in the park, but one of them goes right along this rock wall. And you're going you're going right along this rock wall, and so there's a bridge because it kind of, part of it is on the ledge of the, not canyon, but the rock wall, and then some of it is kind of out in the open. So I like the idea to really set this scene apart from the scenes that it is right next to. We are going to pretend that all of a sudden we are now along this rock wall. Partially because I don't want to get sick of that tree backdrop. Like, I'm going to keep it there for the moment, but what I really want to do is cover it, make it kind of redundant by just having this huge sense of, like, you are clenching to the side of a canyon. Kind of like the Colorado stuff. I mean, there's definitely themes we're exploring here where if you wanted to take that and apply that to Colorado narrow gauge, you absolutely could, and have at it. But we're just doing a different theme with this is all. But I like the idea that it feels like the earth just falls away. So you've got this really dramatic scene that just feels so different from everything else that we're doing in this build, because this is so flat and mild-mannered, and all of a sudden, boom, you're off the side of a canyon. Just like that. That's how you would describe it to your guests, too. If you were showing them this layout, you'd just be like, boom, you're off the side of a canyon now. At least, that's how I would describe it. I like that a lot. So, I want to get some rocks. I want to be playing with big old rocks. We're gonna have some fun with the rocks, because I just like the idea that this is like really middle nowhere dramatic scene, magazine cover kind of material. I mean, you could definitely do that with your port too. Like, absolutely, you could do that with your port. But I like the idea that, you know, you've got this just huge huge sort of, what am I thinking of? The John Allen, Gory and Defeated style massive bridge in a small space. Like, you don't need a big space for a big scene. That kind of thing. Oh, I'm in love. We're gonna probably put some trees there too, but I just love how this is coming together. It just looks so nice. Ooh, that's what they call a medium rock? I think that's a little too medium for our rock 7 small. Oh, that's a small rock. I wonder if those... I'm able to download stuff. Oh, I know why I'm not able to download stuff. I did a thing, right? Okay. It's not down. But we'll do without it for now. We'll make that a fun creative challenge. Like, we'll just make it work with just the rocks we have. I'd almost be tempted to use this. I mean, this is like... This is sort of the Yellowstone that I would see out in Yellowstone, but I'm kind of digging this sort of look right now. So I think I'm going to keep using this. Maybe we'll use a little bit of sandstone kind of rock out once we get to the other scene. But yeah, so there was this really... A point of the story is to say, really neat kind of gateway into the park, going through that scene. Very dramatic. I got a nice photo of it, and so that's what I'm using to sort of inform my thinking here. It's like just this nice sort of, like, you're on this rock wall, and then the earth just falls away, and we've got this. I like that. That makes me happy. That makes me very happy. So, the boundaries for this scene, if we look, I think it's pretty much just where this yellow line is, where I have the... Yep. That's the end of the scene. And in the spirit of keeping it compact, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to just level all of the surrounding terrain, just to make sure that is kind of our maximum bottom. I'll lift that up so I don't have to do funky things with that. And there we go. Now we just need to do some trees and some terrain painting. What do I want to use as my base? Nope. That I'm going to use as my base over here, though, so I'll kind of put a little patch there to remind myself. Yeah, I think I want something with a little bit more rock in it. Grass, rock. Something like this, maybe? Not quite what I'm looking for. Maybe this, actually. There we go. Yeah, because now that blends... I mean, it's a little too bright, so we're going to kind of mix it up, but that'll be our base, and we'll work off of that, because it just blends so nicely with those rocks. And I could put some of those rocks further below too, and I think that'll look good. Yep, big old dramatic cliffhanger of a scene. A literal cliffhanger scene. That's kind of a pun that I wasn't really intending on, but it works. Oh, I could use those medium rocks now, right? Because, like, I could put this here, and it's big and chunky and well, can I fit it there? I mean, I'll be lowering it, but it's also true that it can't interfere with what I have going on in the scene next door. So we'll put it there and see if I lower it. What does that do? Not quite what I'm going for. Well, but maybe if I do it like this and put it in here and lower it a bit more, then it'll work. Maybe something like... Reminds me of... Maybe you guys played Lionel Transcon back in the day? Computer game from the 90s called Lionel Transcon. It was about the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. Partially, largely fictionalized. Well, there was a fictional plotline tying into the construction of the railroad, involving saboteurs and so forth. Ooh, I'm digging what that does. I'm really digging what that does. That makes me happy. Um, oh, I have to get my comments back up. You've disappeared on me. Grade crossing maybe on the left side of the port scene instead of just going off into the backdrop. Um, Reminds you of Lizard Head of Rio Grande Southern. Should put some sort of tunnel portal on each end of the bridge. Yeah, we could experiment with a tunnel portal. I like your idea, Millennial, about the grade crossing, because it's true that we don't have any in place already, so, yep, we'll do that, since we have to have something that goes off into that corner. Yep, you're right. That looks better. This is why it's fun building with you guys, is you know, these things are collaborative efforts, and when you have a team effort behind it, you come up with something even better than what you'd pictured. And then I'm going to move this over to here. I'm going to drop it down like so. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll drop it down like so and then move it over there. But this is, oof. This is fun. I'm digging this a lot. How this is coming together. Tunnel portals, yeah, you know, I've seen it in my mind. I see a way we could do that. Yeah, let's, I'll just finish up with these rock walls, and then we'll come up with something that, I have it, the question is if I have the assets. But I know what I want. It's just a case of does what I want actually exist. But, there we have it. Maybe we'll do a couple of the smaller rocks as well. Put something down here. Shift. Oh yeah, I can roll that. That's great. So then we'll lower that like so. Just to really kind of make all the geometry on this look really crazy and big and massive. With a little bit of a cutting there. Yep. Just a little bit. And then something here. I mean, I'll probably need to fix the earth side of that, but yeah, that looks so nice. Like just this lovely scene. We do still have the trees visible, but what I'm gonna do now, we're gonna bring in some sosnas. Bring in some of the sosnas. We're gonna, well, that's one way to do it. That's maybe a little bit bigger than I'd intended. But we are going to add some trees back here, because I think that's going to help to kind of add a little bit more variety. Arguably should probably place them on the other side too, but I'm going to do another vegetation path. Set that a little bit later. Let's see. I think this is one that I want to use. Yeah, a nice smaller tree. We'll place a couple here and here. Other salsas do I have? That's a nice big old one. Yeah, sure. Like, not too many of those, but one just off the side here. Look, kind of does make the background look small. But if I did another, I don't know if I want to do rock there. I'll need to think about what's practical. Maybe some smaller sosnas in the foreground, just so that not everything is super over. Yep, like that. Oop. Not that one. That one over here. Which kind of works on the other side. Oh, I see what it... Okay. So that works there, and then I need to bring this one a little further out. There we go. That's looking good. Maybe I'll place another one of these guys here and just lower it down, move it to the back so it's not appearing to grow out of the rock. Happiness. And you do, it's interesting going out west, seeing just how different the vegetation is from the east. It's really a whole different animal. Okay, let's talk about these portals. Let's see what I can do on that front. Because ideally, I could do some kind of just wooden tunnel portal. Oh, and maybe, I mean, this is for narrow gauge, so maybe that'll do the trick. So if I do it here, like so, ooh, yeah, that looks good. It at least looks good for there. I don't know if I'll be able to get away with it on the other side, but I also, if I'm carrying it like that, I guess that works. And then I'll unlock the walls layer, because I'm going to need to adjust that a wee bit. Nope, it is unlocked. And I just move that in a little bit so that it's closing around the portal entirely. Yeah. That looks good for there. Question becomes, do I want to do it on both sides? What are my options? Oh, I see. So this is a brown, basically brown and gray. There's a lot of gray going on. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the gray ones with the brown ones, just to get a little bit more color in there. I think that's going to look nicer. There we are. Yep, just a little bit more color. And the question is, does it look too cheesy to have one and then have the other? Like if I put them everywhere. You see, I don't like that. That looks too bookendy. What I might try is see if I could get away with a rock that's sort of a portal, so that we don't see this kind of end of the trees. That might work. So I move this here like so, and then raise it up like, well, that too. I think this is more of what I'm interested in. I know it's not perfect, but I think I just like that as a bit of variety. If I had a small flat one, I could try to bridge the two as well. That would look neat. But I think that's going to do for now. I do want to get on to our final scene. I want to make sure we have enough time to complete this. And I think this is good enough for now. Good enough as a transition scene. Hello, Bethany. I see the cat. I see the dog. Oh, a waterfall. Okay, so here's what I picked out. On the waterfall front. Because I did have some ideas going into this. It's true, I don't do a lot of waterfalls. Well, let's see what we could do here. Because I'm willing to spend a little bit more time on this. Especially, you know, if your wife comes into your live stream and says, hey, you should try this. Well, I should probably try this. Okay. This is what I'd envisioned. Which actually makes sense now that I'm thinking it through. Because it's like, okay. Question is, does it work as a... Waterfalls and trains are... Ooh. Well, that's interesting. It looks actually shockingly good when elevated like that. It's going to be a question of if I could get it to work in the context of the rocks. How wide is the trick? But, you know, I've seen something in this that I like. So I want to find a way to make it work because I like how it looks. Like, you get a little vignette like that, it's like, oh, that's perfect. I do like that waterfall idea. Little mountain spring might be an option. Waterfall objects. Yeah, well, That's actually not half bad looking. I mean, it doesn't quite work because, I mean, doing a full waterfall, I think, is probably beyond the scope of what I could do today in the live stream, just because there would be a way, but it's a lot of finagling to get it to work. Because it would be like I'd have to place the spline essentially hanging in midair through the path it's going to take, and then build stuff around it to make it fit. I mean, I agree with you, Bethany. I think you're right. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to you. I do think that you're right that it makes sense to have it's a way of having some color, and you could do some sound effects with the waterfall whooshing. So I genuinely like the idea. Let me try one other thing and see, rather than these irrigation ditches, what it looks like if I... that's interesting. There are some... I think the CL rivers, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, that's the big one. There are some small river splines that aren't the full width things. Like this. So this is what I'm thinking. Like, I could do it using these. They kind of contour to the land, but not exactly. Let me just do a little kind of cheap and easy one. For the sake of having something, I'm now realizing how you could make a spline that would be a river. Like, I've seen in my mind how I'd make a spline that's a river with an embankment underneath, so that if it kind of stood out from the land, that would be okay. But, yeah. Let's put a pin in that, because I like the idea. I do genuinely think it's a good idea. It's just I don't think I can do that quickly, and I want to make sure we get enough detail in this scene. So we're gonna save that for later. But thank you for the suggestion, Bethany. Yeah, I'd have to move the rocks. Yes, for the future. For the future. Okay, last but not least, Bitter Creek, Wyoming. Which won't be Bitter Creek in ours, name subject to revision. So, we've got our turntable, water tower wise. It would be tempted to use this guy. This is kind of a cute one. Even though it's technically a double. So that's one option. The one that I'd actually picked out for today, I'm going to close that because that's kind of distracting me, is this one. And so I might just go with this. We'll leave that there. I'll place it in once I'm sure I'm happy with it. So if we go to the... Oh, great. Of course I'd be placing on the walls layer. Yeah, I can fix that. So, there's our water tower. Now we need to look at the actual base there. That's why I went to there. Okay, so what we've got another one of these kind of boardwalky downtowns. This one doesn't actually have a station yet. It's to suggest that it's like an expansion. Like there's still lines being built out. There's still kind of an establishment of the railway. So these are all just town buildings. So do I want to stick with that, or do I want a station? Yeah, well, let's see what I want. What I do know I want, these are marked as tents, and I want tents. I was playing around with this a wee bit earlier, and I did think to myself, you know, some tents would just be super nice. Did I not bookmark the tent? That is entirely possible. MBC, I think it is. MK, there we go. Yep, so we're gonna put a few tents here. Here, and here. which does have that nice sort of transcontinental railroad construction frontier quality to it, which I think is nice. This is supposed to be a coal mine, which I don't know about coal. I do like the idea of some kind of mineral being harvested. The trick with mines is always getting ones that are small enough. Because a lot of these mine buildings get a little bit big. This is almost right. If I put it there, oh, perfect. If I put it there, it's hidden by the warehouse. So I could do that as a thing. Great. Then that's going to be my building. Because it's not too imposing. It's not too gigantic. If I wanted to get crazy with custom track laying, too, and I wanted to expand this. So we'll talk more about operations later. Basically, this is designed for out and back and roundy. So of course you could go around in a loop, but you also have the means to just go from one end to another and back. Although if you block that, then that kind of inhibits your ability to turn a steam locomotive. I don't know. I have a feeling that the mine is more about, not so much about actually switching cars under it, but more like, hey, this is where your cars are. Well, that's interesting. I keep placing it, but I don't see it. I'm going to hide that for a moment. Because I've seen this... oh, it's... Oh, track. I mean, that's cool. I don't think it's high enough for the trains. Otherwise, I'd seriously consider using that for portal here. Because, oh, that looks nice. Interesting. But let me just... We're going to height check that. We're going to do a quick... Nope. We're going to do a quick check. Nope. Does not fit our motive power. So that one's out. Anyway, back to where we were. So we're going to go to the track. We're going to leave that straight piece. Move this to here. Boom. Lovely. So basically, the mine is just to say, hey, this is what is generating your cars, and you can park them on the spur so that they are going there. I like the idea that this would be for your mine, and then you'd have, like, work cars or, like, material cars that you place on this part of the siding. But you also do have enough... You need to have enough room to get to the turntable. Interesting. Let's see, flip that switch around. But you know, you need the switch the way it is, unless you put two switches, so that then you could just... We'll leave it the way it is for now. Okay, so now we need... Now we're going true Wild Wild West. Which... there's one builder that has a bunch of... Is it the CDN buildings? No, there's somebody who's made a bunch of kind of Western frontier buildings. And of course I'm going to... I think I need to search for saloon buildings. To see... Yep, I already used that one. Nope. JPK? No, not that. Not cars. Old West Saloon. That kind of thing, I don't like the colors on that one. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now, who made that asset? Because the saloon looks perfect. And then I go to my installed files. Drive right. Okay. So, when you have somebody who makes up content that you like, you've downloaded a bunch of it. It's great to be able to search by their stuff. Okay, now, yep. Now we can search by their content, and they've made a bunch of really nice Western buildings that I think are going to look absolutely great out here. Saloon, the shack. I'm sure we can find a place for that shack. That I do not doubt. Oh, I never finished my story about Transcon, Lionel Transcon. Great game, great soundtrack. I love the music from that game. But I bring it up as to say, with regards to this bridge scene, there's a level in that game where you have to. The saboteurs have blown up this bridge, and you have to rebuild it and help move the trains and the equipment around. It's cute. It's fun. Uh, uh, oh, I need to search by author, but nah. I just need one more good building. But I also, there's this question of, do I want an actual station here? I mean, if there's a water tower, it stands to reason that there'd be a station. That does stand to reason. Trying to figure out how established this place is. I'm kind of trying to understand why it exists. You could be like, well, isn't that kind of overthinking it, Nick? And you're not wrong. But when you're building a layout and you can point to everything and say, this has a purpose, this is a reason for being here, it just makes the lore of it that much stronger, especially when it comes to something like this where it is fictional, but I want it to feel real. Yeah, I definitely like that water tower than that one. That one feels way too thought out and planned. Which isn't bad, it's just not what I'm going for this. Partially depends too, do I want to be running passenger stuff? Because I certainly could be. I could be running passenger services, although, well, let's see what it's like when we take a station. Okay, so if we've got a station like this, and we place a station like here, does this feel too established? I don't know. I kind of like it with a station. I will admit, the idea of it with a station is kind of fitting. Yeah, I think it's looking good with a station. Um, exactly, Jimmy Lambert. Every railroad exists for a reason, to move something from point A to point B. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking of here. It's like there's this part of the railroad that's becoming established. Ooh, I just had an idea. I don't know how hard it's going to be to make it. But I thought, what if the station was under construction? So there are passengers going through, but there isn't a finished station. I mean, it does make this water tower feel a little too established. Maybe we need to do something a little bit more... But I kind of like that idea, because then I think there's a little bit more depth to it in terms of it's not super established. Okay. Well, I'm already liking this more, partially because then I don't have to fit in with the track. It won't function anymore, but it's also true that it... But... That's a big one. But I feel like this might be too small. Nah, maybe small's good, because it's kind of Spartan in that way. I want things here to feel like they're not yet developed. Like, yes, we've got this nice turntable, but though there's a lot that's still being established. So there's a lot of bringing building materials from the... Okay. So I feel like what's really starting to define this in my mind, you're bringing in building materials to construct more of the railroad and the mines, while the product of the mines is getting transported to the big city and to the west coast. That's making sense in my mind as a narrative. I like that. So I'm gonna try to plot. I'm gonna kitty cameo time. Say hi to the audience, Luca Brazzi. Luca has become so attached to me that he will actively try to ensure that I hold him like this. Which is great, except then I don't have my hands to use. And I kind of need my hands, Luca. I know, you're happy, baby. I don't know if you can see this, but like he is relaxed. He is purring. So, and like I'm trying to put him down, and as you can see, he's like, no, I really want to be on you, Daddy. Well, we'll see what we can do about that for the time being. You'll probably even hear him purring through the mic. Okay, so what I want to use is, I want to use this station as sort of a measurement of how big the footprint should be. Oh, I know how I'm going to do this. I know exactly how I'm going to do this. What I need is RC lengths. And I'm going to look at my options, and I'm going to say, okay, not that. Not that either. That's too big. But, and not the gangways. It's not quite it, but it'll work for the sake of what I'm trying to do. Except I need my other hand for the shortcut keys, Luca. I know. You're gonna have to get down. Life is tough. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the platform in place, and then we're gonna put a footprint of where the station will be, like so. So it's gonna be a little bit smaller than that one. We're gonna have it just go like this, partially because I need to figure out how to get these other buildings to fit into place. I kind of want to have now that I'm thinking this through, it's like I want to have a sign. So the station is so incomplete. There's just like a sign that's like, you've arrived in this town, which is also going to need a name. And then we have like a stack of lumber nearby that's going to become the well, I guess that's that. But let's see if I have like lumber that I can put like a stack over here or something. Interesting. I like this building. Yeah, we'll do something with that. I'm not sure what it's here for, but I like it enough to say it should be here. Ooh, maybe we can we put that out the back while it... Yeah, it doesn't look totally weird. So that looks like that. Then this goes here. This goes here. Like so. Then we have enough room for the road. There's our station footprint. We'll move the tents over a little bit. I do want to have enough of them that it looks like a proper gathering of them, though. Almost want to have them going all the way to the back. That there's this implication that there's more where that came from. But I like this. There's something... It's just different. There's part of me that's like, oh, but I want a finish station there. But this is about pushing myself to do what I haven't done before. And this is a different way of really capturing that Wild West. It's so wild, we don't even have a train station yet. I love it. Okay. So, what now? Oh, well, let's check on your comments. Tetsu, in my layouts earlier lore, the Bethlehem and Beaver Falls would have been served by both namesake towns and those between by hauling various ores that were valuable to citizens. Yeah, I'm seeing this as sort of a place for hauling, like iron ore, some kind of mining that's getting established here. I'm liking that. Lumber stack, I think, is what I want. Not that one. But here we go. And then it's going to look better once we have, and maybe I'll find a couple of worker figures to place. We want some dirt roads here too. In this case, the dirt road is going to come off of here. Actually, I think I want a narrow road here. That wide road is too wide. So we're going to go that. Straighten it. While I'm building this dirt road, now's a good time to mention that I do take commissions. So if you would like to have me help you design and or pre-visualize your train layout, I would love to help. And you can reach out to me by going to greattrainlayouts.com, which is where you can also see and download previous examples of my work. So, yep, I'm digging that as a scene. I feel good about that. That makes me happy. So, what else do I want to do here? Well, definitely some ground texturing. Okay, what texture matches this here? Maybe the A19 is going to be good enough. Try some of that. No, not that. Maybe just some of the gravel. Same gravel, but close enough. Oh, and I'm going to have to place some dig holes. But we'll get to that in a moment. So this I want to make it feel a little bit drier. I don't know if it's full. It's like high desert. I'm wanting to use these trees, although I'm also worried about what that's going to imply as far as how that's going to look. Oh, if I put these here, what do I think of what I have done? Makes it more wooded in. Makes it more closed. Yeah, what I really need is like a plainsy kind of backdrop. I might even have to do that custom. Or I might use some of my Yellowstone photos for that. I took a lot of photos in Yellowstone solely for the... I mean, I took a lot of photos, period, but some of them were for the purpose of creating backdrops. And I feel like that might be what I need to do here. Like a nice Rocky Mountain kind of backdrop. Let me see what I can do with that, which I have. Because I'd like to have something in place before I settle on that. Interesting. Yeah, like we got these ones, but that's way too super big. Kind of like that, but not quite like that. I also don't like that a lot of them cast shadows. That I could fix on my own, but yeah, none of these are quite doing it. I'll have to finagle that later. For now, this is going to be... I really don't like it being a boring blue, but we'll make it work for now. Even that's a little bit better. Maybe we'll do that. I wish I had clouds at the top, though. It's like you have clouds up there and then it just stop. Well, we'll leave it for the time being. Just because I want to continue to finish this up. Especially because we might actually have some time to do more of the finishing touches to really give it that polish. Let us see. So, I want to go PBR. Oh, yes, this road, right, this. in the original plan, it goes up and then over the track, which is another interesting transitional element and would help us to hide that. I kind of like that. So let me see if I could do that in a way that's not going to negatively impact. Oop. Not with that sensitivity. That's not going to negatively impact the turntable. Because I do like the idea of it. It's just, is it thick enough? Starting to bleed over in the other scene. I want to, but the train Z and its limitations does sometimes make it. I mean, unless I did like a road that was enclosed by a concrete wall, but that feels foolish because we're not at concrete yet. But I might be willing to keep the house here if we turn it like so. Something like this. Maybe a little bit more. Oh, I see what I want to do. I think I want to do that. There we go. I like that. I do not like how empty that is. It is just so... Yeah, like I just... Part of me just wants to start making a backdrop in Blender now. But I'm just not... That's going to take way too much time. So... Thus is life. Anyway. Oh, I got the wrong window open. Hold on, where are you guys at? There you guys are. Why does my brain immediately expect to see John Marston walking down that street? Well, that is kind of the vibe that we are going for. That is sort of what we are going for. Nuka, I don't want you playing with that. Yeah, okay. Painting. Stop focusing on backdrop, painting foreground, then we can obsess over other things. So I want a PBR dirt. Definitely want to vary the kinds of dirt because I feel like I want this to be a bit drier. Like we've got this really moist, rich area down here. I want this. I don't want it to be full desert, so I'm just using this as a base color. But I want it to feel dry. Like that is full desert, which, you know, you can go that way. But I'm gonna mix it up. So we're gonna mix it with some darker grays, and then I'm gonna rebalance the track, so that's gonna all be good. And then I want some... Do I have a brush texture? That would be kind of cool. Or dry grass. There we go. Like, yeah. Maybe not that one, but let's see about that. Yeah, so the dry grass around here, just have a little something. I'm gonna need to put trees there. That is just driving me nuts, looking at this blank wall. It's like, I don't want it to be that. But maybe I'll come to like it once I actually have... Once I've actually put it in place. And like, okay, that's not bad. And then I'm gonna start from the other side. I mean, these are yellow stony trees. So they're not exactly the wrong kind of thing to have in play, but not what I was picturing. But sometimes you have to move beyond what you pictured. Oop, not what I want to straighten. Sometimes it's like, okay, I thought I was going for one thing, and then I go for another. Oop. And I undid. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's more wooded than I would prefer. Wooded than I would prefer. I know. I know. But it does at least visually make sense. I will give it that. Unfortunately, you're like, well, Nick, isn't that kind of dark at the moment? Yes, but we can always play with the environment and swing it to afternoon, and now this side's perfectly lit. Actually, might be how we play it, because that side looks okay as sort of dark. So I want a little bit more grass. Right now it's a little too dirt and nothing else. So I'm going to put bits of grass here and here. And then little whisperings. Just little. And then what to do here? Part of me says let's put a hill. Put the track underneath it. I kind of want to do a little bit of an embankment, though. I think an embankment would be nice. But then again... So we try that. I mean, again, this is why we are pre-visualizing this stuff. Is we get to try one thing, then we're like, no, that's not quite it. And we get to try a hill, and I'm thinking... I'm not sure if that's quite it either. It definitely can't be flat. It needs to have something going on to it. I think I can live with that. I don't know if I love it, but I can live with it. And sometimes that's what you just say you're going to do. You say, this is what I'm aiming for, and that's okay. Let's get some Sosna trees in here, because I feel like those are going to... Oof. You know, it's interesting. You can have trees that are realistic heights, but then you put it in a model railroading context, and it just feels way too much, way too big. So I'm gonna go with some small. I wanted to have a lot of sagebrush, though. I'll tell you what, when I was out west, sagebrush was everywhere. So that's what we're going to be doing tons of. Like, just everywhere. See it. So I think that's really what I want to see is just sagebrush. And that it fills up these corners nicely. Because I don't want it to feel too busy. I think that it's very easy to make an over an 4x8 feel like you've got too much going on with it. And we don't want that. We want it to feel breathable. Like fabric. So, let's take a look at where we're at. I'm going to turn off the circles just to see what I think. I am liking that a lot. Oh, I need to name this station. I do need to name this station. If you've got name suggestions for the station, that'd be great. Because yeah, station needs a name. Have at it. This one's already named by default. It is Drain. Maybe we'll choose a different building from Drain. Elkton. Okay, we'll do this renamable one. And we'll come up with a name for that too. I do think we need something a little bit more elegant than Drain. I think this would be 95.7. And let me just move it to... Oh, yep. And it just wants to snap right in place. And I'm just gonna... Oh, did it not? How weird. There we are. And then I'm going to move it in place like so. Needs a short name though if it's going to be fitting it within that. We'll call it Capula. Capula? No, I don't like that. I wanted to riff off of something like Sacramento. Well, for the time being, it'll be Sacramento. Oh, I need to capitalize that or it won't look right. Sacramento. Oh, I just thought of something. San Piero. San Piero. That sounds like a place that could exist. It doesn't. Okay, so we've got San Piero, and then we have this unnamed station. Marston. I'm not, you say haha, I'm not sure if I get the joke. Let's see what kind of sign options I have. Station sign large. Hopefully I can rename it. Marston. Perfect. Although that's a bit big for the sign, so we'll go with a medium. And put it there, like so. And we'll call it Marston. Okay. Works for me. We've got Marston and San Piero. I'm digging this. So, I kind of want to put a building here that sticks out to there so that it's in the backdrop of both. I don't know what to use. Let me see what other YVR buildings I have. Some good things tied with the Yosemite Valley. Oil house? Nah. A lot of these buildings are really giant and won't fit quite for what we need. Nah, that's got all these fancy signs on it. I like how that looks. Works for me. Okay, so we are getting near the conclusion of this build, and it feels good. And we're making good time with it as well. So I think we might spend some time doing the fascia, walls, floor kind of thing, because sometimes we get to that, sometimes we don't. But I do like when I get to share that process with you guys, because I do think that's some of the fun of it. Oh, I need to add dig holes for this. Right. Dig holes. Dig hole. And we're gonna do this here. Here, 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 here. Bingo! We've got our dig hole in place. I do like how this looks. I would love it better if it had a more mountainous backdrop, but until I get around to that part of the show, this will do. Yeah, if I wanted to spend a lot of time with this layout, I could see doing like a whole custom backdrop with... I don't know that I want to get too involved with it. But we've got San Piero, the city. We've got the mountain bridge scene thing that looks big and epic and sweet. And we've got Marston. Oh, right, John Marston. Okay, yeah, we'll call it Marston for John Marston because he would walk down the center of the street. I agree. I like that. All right. So, I'm digging this. Now we just need some switch stands. Now I could just make it easy and go with Caboose Industries, but let us add those harp stands, and then we'll do the fascia and floor treatment. So I need to grab, nope, I'm in the wrong menu. I need to grab this. I need to switch off of the dig hole layer because I was about to place them on the dig hole layer because that is what I do. Nope, I deleted the wrong thing. Very much deleted the wrong thing. And what I want to do is go to this layer. Then I'm gonna, and then I have to check it. Nope. Totally wrong direction of switch stand. So I'm gonna go with right hand. Once it's loaded up. Nope, I need a left hand for that. Making it more complicated than I need to, but I want it to look right when we're having fun. There, I think that's gotta be right. Yep, there we go. Perfect. And then we need one over here. And that might actually just be the same one as this. Nope. I'm going to need one that goes the other way for that. Oh, that works. So that's going to be the right hand, left side, I think. There we go. That's right. Yep. Perfect. That way I can glance at them and know I'm going in the right direction. We've got one more to place. And then, yeah, we're coming up on playtime. I would like to finish this one off scenically. Or finish off the edges of it so it looks nice. I'm going to say that the main is... Oh, I haven't even dealt with that one, so I haven't decided what the main is. Certainly this... Fine to say this center one is the main. But maybe the outside's the main. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And then I just need one over here. For this side. And then let's see what I got right and what I got wrong. Oh, that works. And this one is the wrong one. That's going to be left, right. I think that's what it's going to be. Let's see. I mean, it goes the right direction. It's just... whatever, they match. We'll make it work. It's good enough. So, we're good there. We're good there. I have an... Oh, my invisible switch. Yep. And I have the invisible switch stand there. Yeah, I don't know that a harp switch stand actually makes sense even there. We'll take that one out and we'll put an invisible one there too, just because that probably makes more sense than this one. Okay. And then we have this one that needs to be replaced, and I'm going to replace it with this. And it goes here, like so. Good. Alrighty, so now to the part of the show. I want to get those walls leveled out. I'm gonna just set them at a flat 0. Like so. And then somewhere in there, I have to set that 0, set this as 0, set that as 0. Just because otherwise it looks a little too funky. All that grade transition stuff going on. I don't think I got it perfectly straight, but good enough. there we are. Hit all those. Okay, now that side looks good. Now we'll take care of this side. Oops, but not that. So this, and then do I need it? Yeah, I need it to come out there, so I'm going to extend the wall to, well, actually both the backdrop and the wall to here. Like so. Then on the other side, do the same. And just extend it a little bit more to here and to here. Probably actually cut that in a little bit more for fascia stuff, but it'll work for what we needed to do. We're going to treat this like a peninsula layout. You need to be able to access all sides. This could be up against a wall. So first thing I'm going to do is add in the fascia and lock that in because it's going to, yeah. So I'm going to add in, I'm tempted to go with, I've got black and I've got dark green, neither of which are quite right for this one. I'm going to go with a black, but I might end up switching that out later. Do I want a curtain on it? No, not for this one. It's going to be too complicated with everything I have going on. And then it goes there. There's a piece. Oop. No, I wanted to do that. But I am going to straighten that. Add in a curve. And then add in another straight to here. Another curve. Another straight. Oh, I'm going to have to adjust the sides of that too, aren't I? Yep. Because I actually ended up... Which is too bad, because I like how symmetrical that looks. But I do need the water to be that wide, because otherwise the boats end up being... Well, I could do the dig holes as a half. We'll just... I know what I'll do. I'll just leave the backdrops where they are. We're just going to extend the edges out. Like so. And I think that'll be fine for what I'm intending to do here. And then I need to straighten that. That is already straightened. But I need to put it where it's supposed to go. Here. And here. Oh, that rock's a little too far out. I'm going to have to move it a little bit. Like so. But that works. I should save this while I'm at it, because I have not saved it at all. I'm usually bad at that, as you guys are all too aware. So, now, yeah, it's a little uneven, but I can live with that. Now we need to place our dig holes. I'm going to lock the fascia in, I'm going to unlock the dig holes. We're going to place 4x4s here. That, sure enough, I'll have to adjust my elevations, which does not surprise me. Dig holes in Train Z make things complicated, and then you have to do all sorts of adjustments and leveling and all that kind of fun stuff. Interesting. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment. Like so, and then through here. This side will be super easy compared to the others, which have a little bit more going on than I would prefer, because I have to hide those rocks. We might end up doing curtains for at least part of it. But we go back to we hide the dig hole layer and lock it. We go back to the fascia layer and unlock it. This is why I tend to not do fascia with you guys, just because it does become this thing that's sort of complex. It can be kind of tedious and so forth, and I do not wish to bore you guys. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can so that we can get to the part very shortly of playing with the trains. But I think this will be worth it because you'll get to see what this looks like when it's all said and done. And usually, unfortunately, with some of the builds, I don't end up having the time to do that. So, all right, like so. And then I need to place another spline point here. But this way you get to see a little bit of what goes into what I do when it comes to finishing these off. And then I'm going to strike like that. I'm going to get that height. I'm going to use that height for there and there. Raise that up a little bit because that looks a little odd. But adds this nice extra finish to the layout that, you know, you don't get when you're looking at all these gray, messy tiles. You know, I think this rock is an essential. In the spirit of I want to keep this simple, we're going to delete that rock. Is that oh, that's a walls layer rock. Of course it is, because... no, that's root layer. Okay. There's root layer. And then I'm going to just try to delete that. Oh, it's probably all the way back here. I'm going to have to go fishing for it. There we go. And that rock gets to come out, and I'll just put a small one in its place. Say about here. Good enough. Still has the right vibe and feel. I'm going to level this a little bit more, because this is still feeling a little bumpy. So, and then I'm going to put another one here and give it the same height. And another one here and give it the same height. That way it's looking a little cleaner, a little nicer. Oh, right. These big tall trees. Okay, that one. Well, actually, I think they just fell through. I can probably, yeah, raise them up like so. And now they actually are in the scene proper. I can also lower that a bit down. And then this can come up. Or I can actually, it can come in and I can put it there. Let me make sure, yep, those are sticking through as I thought they might be. So we'll do that. Like that. That looks nice. Okay, so this side, I just need to put a spline point here and then straighten that. Raise this up just to cover the landscape there. There we are. And then this side, we just need to say, hey, you, that you are in fact 0, and you just go straight across like so. Except I have things that are sitting at heights. Yep, and there's that's 0 now. I'm gonna have to lower that wall just a little bit, because otherwise water's sticking through. There we are. And then bring the trees up here. Oop. Not having them connect with the spline edge. And ta-da! Now let's just widen the dig holes a little bit more, put the floor down, and then we are good on this. Oh, I suppose I should put some table legs. So back to the dig hole layer, unlock. I'm going to do another round of these. Actually, I should probably do the 4x8, shouldn't I? So that's going to be here. There. Now I could just do a bunch of these, and it becomes so much easier as a result. 3. One more go around, and then I think we'll be good. That way we have all this nice open space. And it's really going to transform us into this as a train room. Like so. So there we are. Now we have a levitating layout. Oh, right, that big rock, which I do like the way that sticks out, so I kind of want to keep it. But it is also the only thing that's sticking out, and I think to myself, well, if I got rid of that big rock and just did something... I do like the way it sticks out, though. I mean, it does mess with the illusion, but you know what? We're going to stick with it. One more round of dig holes, floor. I'll mess with that later and get that perfect. You guys have waited long enough to see us play with trains, and that's what we're going to be doing in just a few minutes. Let's put the... That's the fascia taken care of. We're now going to add a wall along this edge here. And we'll just make it a classic blue wall, like so. Interesting. Cuts into the scenery there, so I'm going to have to add some extra dig holes. We'll go down about... yeah, that much seems about right. From that, I'm going to add another round of dig holes. Just so that we can get rid of that edge. That's our wall. Back to the dig holes. And, you know, for your own layout design purposes, this might be overkill. You might be like, I don't mind seeing the gray. I just want to focus on building my layout. That's all that really matters to me, and that's fine. I like doing this because for me, it's part of the presentation of the thing as a whole. It's so that when I'm playing with it, I can really feel like I'm playing with it. That's part of the experience for me. But if it isn't for you, then, you know, you could do as you see fit. I love the amount of creativity that this affords. Okay, so that is at a height of -75, so we're going to bring this also to a height of -75. For now, I'm going to omit any doors just because I'll have time later to mess around with that kind of thing. Right now, I just want to get going. Make sure that we have something up and running that looks good and works. And if we've got that, we're good. One last wall in place here, like so. We lowered that down to -75. Almost there. We're just going to put in our floor and our legs. So here's the floor layer. We're going to look at our floor options. I want to go wood floor on this, I think. I don't tend to do... Well, or light tile. I want a light color is the point. -75 meters. Real scale, of course. And we go that to that. And then I'm going to put legs under this. We're going to go for the HO legs. Like so. And I'm going to put a leg here. And a leg here. And, you know, I could put legs on the other end too. I think I will do that just to be like, okay, those legs do have some reason. There we go. There we have it. Et voila. here is the overland route as designed by Bernard Kempinski, as adapted by me, Nick Ozrak. We have the port town of San Piero, the large, scary viaduct, and Marston, the frontier Rocky Mountain village, mining town. I am so loving this. The Millennial Modeler trestle scene is great, really giving me vibes of Will Vinton's Claymation Mountain music video for whatever reason. Interesting. I'm not familiar with that one, but cool. Glad you like it, Robert. Jimmy, every time you hear dig holes, an old Minecraft earworm echoes through my mind. Oh, is dig hole a term in Minecraft? I profess to not knowing. Okay, let's get some trains rolling. So we're going to create ourselves... Well, first we're going to save, because that seems like a good thing to do. And then we're going to go to the session layer, because knowing me, I would probably put things where they shouldn't be. We're going to run Glenbrook today, per the earlier question of, are we playing with Glenbrook? The answer is yes, absolutely. So Glenbrook is going to be our motive power for today. And we're going to give ourselves a good amount of work to do. You know, I just thought how one could have an engine shed here, and that'd be sort of interesting, because then you'd bring the power out, run to the city and back. But something tells me the actual engine terminal would probably be here, so we'll go off of that. So how are we going to play this? Well, I do have some hoppers, so that's an obvious starting point. I want to have 2 empties that are ready to go back to the mine, and I want to swap them with 2, maybe 3. 3 seems like a good number. 3, and it uses coal, so okay, coal it is. I mean, we could pretend it's whatever. But yeah, I feel like there's probably a constant stream of cars. And yeah, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Nick, wouldn't you have more than just 3 coal cars in a train? You probably would, but sometimes you just have to scale to the size of your layout. I mean, even if you had a realistic sized train here, oops, why did I load the empties? You could have a real, but it'd be too much. Do I have a combine? That's an interesting question. Yes, I do have a combine. Okay. The Colorado and Southern Combine. I'm not a fan of those stubby guys. Do any of them look a little bit more? Eh, whatever. It does have it definitely has an On30 flavor, so okay. So we're gonna run this as kind of a mixed train thing, because I mean, I could do a scheduled passenger train kind of deal. And maybe we'll take a quick victory lap, and then we'll set ourselves up with the... So we'll do a quick victory lap with these, then we'll ditch most of the cars and run it for reals. Yeah, quick victory lap, but I'm going to set up the remaining cars just so that then I delete those and go. So we've got those. I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, diggy, diggy hole. Okay, if you say so. Boxcars. Flat, actually, C, N, T, L, and F. I have a bunch of flat cars. And honestly, I feel like if we're talking railroading in its early stages, flat cars probably are the way to go. And then we'll have it loaded with general goods. 5 general goods. So that could... Those would be going in. So we'll say, like... I mean, it could also bring in lumber. That's also a thing. Which could be spotted on one of those tracks. I feel like, yeah, let's have a couple of empty flats here. And then... could put cars here. It does maybe create an interesting operational challenge if you have to respot your cars. Let's see how that plays out. But we'll do this as lumber. So copying that. So we've got 2 cars of lumber coming in. We've got our pasture train we're running a victory lap with. And then we've got... I wonder... I think I have Wild West people. I kind of want to put some figures at this station. Just to have a little something there. But then I have to go back to the root layer. Person, Western woman. Perfect. Maybe not one holding her baby, but sure. This woman could be here. And then we'll have... Let's look at person, Western. That's what I want. I mean, 2 people could be all that's waiting for this train, as far as we know. So, this is our thing, and I'm really digging it. Alright, let's have some fun. Let's go play with trains. I realize I should actually start our train off at the station. Okay, time to go choo-choo. Here we go. Tell me if you have difficulty hearing me. Hopefully you're able to hear me now. Oh, I'm realizing I should get the rail driver hooked up. There we are. And let me make sure I got my switches set on the other end, because that is also a thing that I would forget to do. Yep. So, this is us departing El Piero. And... I'm registering the speed. I'm not registering my controls. I'd probably have to restart for that. Alright. Let's go to Marston. Oh, headlight on. Oof. That looks so fun. Oh. I'll have to do something about that. But you're also not supposed to look at the layout from that direction. Ooh! Oops. You saw nothing. Nothing was seen. Things were not seen or heard. Oh. That could be an issue. There we are. You saw nothing. Nothing was seen or heard. The end. Well, it's not the end. Okay, back to the running we go. And I've now fixed that switch, so it will not do that again. Let's take a look at the mountains. Ooh, I'm happy with that. That's so nice. And that's why this works, because it would be really drastic to go from this to that and try to transition between those two while still having the back, or without a backdrop. But by having the backdrop, you don't need to worry about that. And even between those two, I like that we've achieved 3 separate scenes that each feel complete in what they are. That makes me really happy. Here we are going through San Piero again. Let's go to engineer level for going over the bridge this time around. If only we could shrink down to our model railroad size for our own layouts. That would be fun. Alrighty. So, what I'm going to do, we're going to bring it back to San Piero. We're going to cut off the... we're going to make this our caboose. We're going to cut off these coaches. And we'll do some switching. We'll try to run a circuit of the layout. I have set myself up for a fair amount of switching, but see what we could do in that regard. So what do you guys think of how this turned out? I'm really happy with this. I think this is a fun little plan. And again, this is designed for On30. So all those Bachmann ready-to-run sets that you've got, this is a way to be able to make the most of that. And you don't have to... A lot of times when it comes to narrow-gauge modeling, you've got all these complicated things to worry about as far as scratch building. And here it's like, you could do this with just regular HO track. Your ties will look a little odd, but... You could do it with HO track, but you don't have to go into all sorts of insane scratch building, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to say that one of those cars from the warehouse is going with us. The other one is going to the port, just to have some switching traffic within town. And we're picking up the hoppers, we're picking up the lumber cars, and taking those with us. So... I'm going to pick those up first and then probably shove those back onto the combine, grab the cars from here, grab those, pick one, take the other, and we'll be good. Oh, I gotta mess with the switches and decrease their radius, because otherwise that'll be kind of a pain as we're doing all this switching. Train Z, you gotta set the trigger radius of switches. For some reason it's super wide, and I don't know why. It's like if a switch is clear, it should just be considered clear, but Train Z has its peculiarities that, as a route builder, I've learned to work with, and you just make your peace with them, because there's a lot to love about this game, even though there are some definitely weird things about it. And now we come back and we're going to grab our loads. Well, our loaded lumber and our empty hoppers. But there's so much fun you could have detailing this riverfront scene. I mean, we've kind of kept it very basic with just the platform and stuff, but you could have dock workers and seagulls and all sorts of kind of fun little details to really make it come alive. And here we are grabbing our lumber, and then we're grabbing, oh, that was weird. Now we're grabbing our empty hoppers. I could see ways that you could make this really complicated for yourself. I left it somewhat easy for today, but definitely ways you could have cars that need to be like respotted because they're not loaded yet and that kind of thing. Yes, I'm glad you recognized there was no fender bender, Jimmy. But yeah, I should get some photos of this while I'm at it, especially since we've got a lot of these finishing touches in place. And that's why I love doing these live streams with you guys. It's like 2.5 hours ago, this was nothing but just just an image. And now it's a whole working railroad. It's something that gives you a lot to do. Like there's a good amount of switching here. You could run passenger. I mean the downsides of it, you don't have staging, so you are either live staging things where like with hoppers you maybe are taking them back and forth. But passenger cars, like you really don't have room for a full train set. So like I'm running this combine and maybe you tuck it out of the way somewhere. It's pretty much a one train at a time operation. Like technically you could have meets, but you could. I mean, it would be interesting if you could design a timetable where you have one person on one side of. So basically, what we're doing now, where we're working one side, going over to the other side, and working that side, if instead of that, you had just flip flopping back and forth, you had two trains flip flopping back and forth. That could be exciting. You just have to coordinate the meets, which may or may not be as much fun as it sounds, but that's why you play test it. And I'm a big believer that in most cases, unless you know you have a huge group of friends who are always going to be over to run your layout, or even some friends that are going to be over to run your layout, it's kind of worth ensuring that your layout is going to satisfy you if you're the only one running it. Like, I've definitely run some layouts that are awesome as multiplayer, showing off my computer side again, that are super fun for, when you have op sessions, but if you ran it alone, you would feel alone. You'd feel like, well, where are all the other trains at? Sometimes certain designs you could get away with, like with DCC, by just having something go in circles, and occasionally you just have to dodge it. But if you're running point to point, then not so much. This you could do that with. I mean, it might be kind of chaotic, like with the amount of switching that we have right now, if we had to constantly be dodging something that was going around in circles, but it could be fun to play around with. So now we're going to go pick up our cars from the warehouse. One is going to go on our train, the other one is going to go across to the ships. Oh, that's a fun view right there. That's a cute little detail with the water drips coming out of the water tower. Oof, that's a fun scene. That was weird. Sometimes PBR does weird things graphically. Sometimes the chaos of railroading is the fun part. Other times it's the bane of it. Totally agree. Coal and steel. I think looking at it now, I would get rid of the turntable at a freight house instead, because there's nowhere to turn around on the other side. Yeah, so the turntable... Well, there's pros and cons. There's multiple... I think it depends on how you want to run it. And also just if you want a turntable. I mean, you might want a turntable because then you could just stick an engine on there and have it be slowly rotating around and just looking cool. And that's perfectly fine as well. Here with the turntable, you've got a couple of options. So we're going to run out and back, and you could just 5-finger crane it and turn your locomotive back to go. I consider this your direction of travel. So you're traveling through this scene to get from one city to another. Maybe you do extra loops. I think we'll do some extra loops just to get a little bit more running in. But yeah, once you go to the end, you turn around, you come back, you could 5-finger crane it. You could just run tender first back, and then you are omitting the turntable in favor of putting some kind of freight station or team track or something else there. I'm keeping the turntable for this because the way that I would run it and what I plan to do was once we get back to San Piero, just drive it over, turn it, and drive it back. And yeah, I mean, yes, you're going into the same scene twice to do your turning. That's just the compromise. You know, I think it's kind of a case of where do you want to compromise. Because for me, I don't know that I'm really interested in running tender first all the way back. Alternatively, since we've cheated and we've kind of fit in an extra space, there might be enough room. Well, that turntable has digged hole covers around it, so we're not going to be able to fit it there. You could possibly, in real life, fit a turntable there and have a switch coming off there, and then you've got turntables on both ends. You've got the room for it here. It's just that, you know, if you did that, you'd be getting rid of the city. Which I think the city is kind of an important element of what makes this scenically. Like, yes, you could expand your city by way of illustrating it on the backdrop, but I also feel like nothing beats having full buildings in place. The handling models is the O50 switcher. Yeah, it bothers my OCD that you'd have a 5-wheeled switcher. I know what it means. 5-fingered crane is my go-to. Alright. Getting back together with our train. Gonna get underway shortly. But I love this as a scene. I love what this does. This functions nicely. And of course, you've got your runarounds so that if you have cars facing the other way, you can put them where you need to. So that makes your switching a little bit easier. So like when we come back, the only cars that have to be run around are going to be these hoppers. Like we're going to have loaded hoppers. We're going to have to run around them in order to get them back here. Or whatever cars we'd be putting back here. We'll see what we do when we get to that point. But yes, here's a nice easy way to get into On30. Wonderful track plan by Bernard Kempinski, who's no stranger to O-scale with his Aquiline train layout, which at some point I'd really love to build that in Train Z. The reason I'm not jumping at it is because there's not a lot of Civil War assets for trains. I mean, the rolling stock hasn't been made. You know, you'd want soldiers and so forth, and I don't think anybody's made the soldiers. So I feel like if somebody would be interested in collaborating with me to make that happen, I'm totally here for a collaboration where somebody can make some people figures and stuff, and some cannons and things like that. Because I'd love to build it. It's just, it really does have to have certain things to feel right. Oh, I love what we did with this canyon scene. And here, let's go below and below there. And we'll fast forward time so we could do that again. Here we are. And again, this is all in 4x8. Like, you too could probably fit this in whatever space you have. There we go. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I need a screenshot of that. That makes me happy. screenshot there too. I should probably put some abutments under the ends of that, but we'll get to that part later. Okay, one more circuit, and then we'll come into town proper and work this side of the railroad. But yeah, these are regular HO scale turnouts that you can buy commercially. Nothing funky there, so this is something you too could build. And then, you know, if you've ever wanted to get into narrow gauge. I just finished reading, the other book I finished reading is How to Model Narrow Gauge Railroads by Tony Custer. Let me fast forward to bring the train back over. I finished reading that, actually, while I was on vacation in Yellowstone. And he covers kind of brief histories of certain narrow gauge railroads. He goes into detail about some of the eastern narrow gauge railroads that go overlooked, modeling considerations. It's a really, really interesting book. I did enjoy reading it. And he really emphasizes that there's a lot of ways that you could easily get into certain gauges, or certain forms of modeling narrow gauge. Okay, so thinking time. We are here in Marston, and we need to drop off these 3 cars here. We need to turn our power. We need to swap out the hoppers. So, simple thing here is we're just going to uncouple, run around the whole train. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to, run around the whole train. Going to turn the engine on the turntable, grab these cars, put them on one track, then, or grab these cars, grab the combine, put them on one track, fish these cars in. I'm going to have to switch the order they're in, and then we'll be good to go. So, I've got a plan. I feel like once I have a big enough space, I'm going to have, like, rather than the conventional thing of, oh, you just build, you know, one big layout, that's what you do. I'm going to have, like, 10 4x8s. Because I can't make up my mind in terms of what I love. I mean, I've made up my mind in certain ways. I love Canadian Steam. I'm very much looking forward to Rapido's Hudson's coming out. But, you know, it's all these other things of like, oh, but I'd love to do a little bit of On30 or On30. Oh, I'd love to... Well, I've got Greenfield Village, and that's nearing completion. I've made so much progress. I'm so happy with it. I should at some point do another stream to show you guys how, like, once it's done, I want to show you where it's at, because it's getting close. I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. And I think it, too, is kind of a good study in and how to do a lot and a little. Jimmy Lambert, the only Civil War soldier assets I know of are 2D. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, I don't know that I want to be, you know, playing this game, especially with this level of detail, and be seeing, you know, 2004 era 2D Civil War soldiers. So, I feel like if somebody has an interest in making the Aquila line happen, let's talk. Because I'd love to see it happen. I just know I can't get into that level of 3D modeling. I may be crazy enough to 3D model a backdrop for this so I could actually have the mountains on one side of the city on the other. I might be that crazy, but I'm not crazy enough to do people figures. That is beyond what I want to take on. So, I'm going to move... Do I want to... For a second, I was thinking of, in terms of Railroader, and I was thinking, oh, I'll just kick this car onto the other track, but I can't quite do that. I just realized I have a knuckle coupler passenger car, but it's all good. Oh, I should have pushed it further because I didn't quite clear the switch. Oh well. So we'll park that off to the side here. And then we will shove our freight cars out a little bit more, and then we'll do our switching, finagling. You ended up buying the international version of a Rapido Hudson, Jimmy. Yeah, yeah, that is kind of the go-to. Maybe we'll do something. I know some folks on here really love when I bring out the 2816 model that I have for Train Z. So, um, and I know Ronan, the guy who's creating that, he's getting close to done on it. So maybe we'll build some layout that's like really designed for that. We did do the city layout, but maybe we'll do something with more of a mainline feel that we can have some fun with that engine. And celebrate that, hey, we've got these Rapido, we've got our physical models, because their latest newsletter showed that they were in production. Their delivery schedule shows them coming within by the end of September, so I am super chuffed about that. Okay, just pushing these a little bit out of the way so I can access the switch. Making sure that switch is thrown so I don't do something stupid later. And then we'll go into here and do our finagling these cars. Basically just gonna, I'll probably shove the flats against there, turn around so that we're working with the correct coupler. So Bernard Kempinski, the guy who designed this layout and wrote the 45 original track plans book, as I mentioned before, he models something called the U.S. Military Railroad Aquia Line. Google search it. There's videos. There's articles. There's so much about it. It's incredible. He models O scale, but it's 2-rail O scale. It's very prototypical. And he does, I'm thinking of it because we're switching with these Lincoln pin couplers. His layout, he uses Lincoln pin couplers. I really want to see it at some point. I'm hoping to have an opportunity even later this year to see it, because, oh, it looks amazing from what I've seen. Okay, turntable time. So yeah, we're gonna pull these out. Train handling would suggest I should swap the flats for the loaded coal, but time would suggest I'm going to keep them where they're at. 'Cause I don't even know how much switching I'm going to do once we get back to San Piero. I'm really happy with that town name. I might have to trademark that. Gonna get a nice seat for ourselves once we... Alright, so, there we go. Oop. Just give ourselves a nice parking spot while we watch it turn around. I don't know why the wheels are turning in place. That's a bit odd. Oh well. There we go. Locomotive's turned around. And now we can bring it back. Grab our cars from here in Marston. Put them on the combine. Switch these cars into the mine and then to the station, team track, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I forgot to get a screenshot from there. Okay. Get one here. Jimmy, try to come up with a track plan to put the Montreal commuter line into a bedroom. So here's the challenge with that isn't actually doing the challenge. I think the challenge is, I feel like I want it to be different from Ozark lines, or Orford, which we built last fall. Maybe enough time will have passed, but that to me is how I would do Montreal. Um, Recognizing that it isn't exactly Montreal. I'll have to give that some thought. I like the idea of doing something that's a focus on steam era commuter railroading, and something like this where it's like there's two distinct scenes, unlike Orford, which was one. Maybe we could do something with that. I see possibilities there. All right. And now we get to see the train going the other. Oh, that is so pretty. I love it. And then I need to make sure I've cleared the switch, which I have. And we'll bring it back in. Couple up to the combine. Get our inbounds sorted out, and then we'll take off. Cute little plan. Like, it's simple. And, you know, I think that a mistake a lot of people make, I mean, people build the layouts that they want, but a lot of what I see with 4x8s is just trying to do too much in too little a space, and sometimes simplicity is the name of the game. And I think what works for this, like, could you fit in more track? Yes, but it starts to become cluttered. But I think this maintains this feeling of frontier exploration. I think that's a key element of its raison d'etre. So, now our outbound train is ready to go. And now we're going to pick up these cars. While I'm thinking of it, if you head over to greattrainlayouts.com, I just recently released the Virginian layout from a few months ago that we live streamed. That is now available for you to download for free, so you can check that out. And if you want early access to layouts, such as this one, before everybody else gets them, head over to patreon.com/theroundhouse. And for as little as $1 a month, you'll get early access. And I really appreciate the support that you guys provide there. So, let me get those poplars tucked in first. And then... And I can tell you guys, especially since you've stuck around for a while, and I appreciate that, next month, speaking of well-known train layouts, presuming I've had the time to finish constructing it in the next few weeks, which is hopefully the case, we are going to be visiting the the Conrail Onondaga Cutoff by Dave Abeleys. I've been working on it in the background for a number of months, on and off, mostly off. But we're going to be playing through that. That is the goal. I need to make sure Dave's available and interested in joining us for that. Because I'd love to have Dave on talking about how that railroad is operated. We get to actually play out a session with it. So we'll see. If not, then we'll do something else. definitely going to be a Conrail month. That I can promise you, because it's going to be another build it with Broadway, kind of like what we did last month. We're going to build either the appreciation and layout using Conrail, or we're going to build a layout in which you can make the most of your love of Conrail. So we're going back to the modern, or a more modern era with that. Got our car spotted at the mine. Now we're gonna pick up. Let me try to get a shot from here. Too often I play with these and then I'm later looking for screenshots when I post them to the website. Like, why did I not take any screenshots when I was playing with it? Now I'm making sure that's not an issue this time around. Alright, we're gonna put these cars here on Marston's platform. And then we'll be set to leave town. So not anything complex operationally, but if you want to be in the spirit of narrow gauge, the spirit of simple railroading, this is a good track plan which to do that by. Jimmy, I was speaking with a Swedish friend and he joked that many Markland layouts are basically loops and loops of track with sidings and sidings in between and a single tree in one corner. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are folks who do Markland modeling that have realistic layouts or realistic track plans. But I do think, when I think of Markland, I do think of a lot of kind of toy train, loop-de-doop-de kind of stuff. Just because of the people who have it, what they tend to do with it. It's sort of like, you know, you could absolutely do realistic operations and track plans with O-scale, but most people do loops. And that's not to disparage. If people enjoy that, that is entirely their prerogative. Alright, these cars into place. So one of my favorite actually MSTS add-ons from back in the day, all the way back in 2004 is when it was first released. So it's 20 years old, so it is dated, but the St. Louis and North Arkansas Railroad was an add-on created by Andre Main. So you'll have seen this if you've seen the At the Rail Yard episode I did about it. I did an At the Rail Yard episode about Ozark Northern, and then I did one about the St. Louis, North Arkansas. Andre Main did some really fun routes. And one of the things that I think I talked about this in that episode, is that it represents the railroad during a period of construction. So some of the activities involve you hauling materials to the end of the line for further construction. And I do think that's kind of a neat element of railroading to model, if you can model something that's in expansion, and so you're hauling materials for that expansion effort. It adds that sense of story of, like, this is something that's in progress. And so I feel like there's ways that you could do that here. Like, maybe if you wanted to forfeit the mine, you could make that like a spur to pretend, almost as if this track didn't go anywhere and this was or either track went anywhere and this was where you dropped off materials in order to haul them. I'll say I like the mine because that it gives you an excuse to be hauling hoppers. The only downside with construction lines is that all you're hauling is building materials because there isn't any traffic on the line yet. So it kind of depends on how you design it. But I like the idea of pretending that there's expansion happening nearby somewhere. So you could have cars of rail and so forth being brought in. And we're set to depart. Let me make sure my switches are lined, because knowing me, I would very much forget to do that. And we're gonna part town here. Hey, Bluegrass Rail fan. The Martinstown layout is one I really like. Not familiar with it, as far as Markland layouts. Yeah, I mean, there are folks who love their spaghetti bowls, and look, I've seen some really... Oh, I saw a guy who built a quintuple decker O-scale layout. The train literally went up 5 layers. Stacked. Not even remotely realistic. But it was fun. And there was another guy I know who... Let me make sure I threw my switches, because that is the kind of thing that I would forget. Another guy knew O-scale who didn't have a lot of room, so he had his layout, like 3 levels. The bottom was the staging with little bits being visible. The middle was the main level, and then there was an upper. And he had this whole automated system so that the switches would automatically, like this whole sequence of switches would throw so that you could loop all the way from the bottom level to the top level with reverse loops. It was complex. It was crazy, but it was fun. Like, would it be what I'd build? But it was fun to appreciate. Anyway, we're going to take a few victory laps. We'll bring these cars in. We're not doing too bad on time. So we'll try to do... we'll sort them out. Turn our power around just to kind of illustrate a full cycle of things. And then that'll be us for today. Oh, I should... let's appreciate the scene from the waterfront. I'm gonna go for a screenshot right about here. That seems like oh, I like having the sailors in the foreground. That's kind of a fun shot. Actually, I should probably switch over the lighting, which is gonna mess up my angle, but then I can actually move the light so that it's over here and looks good for that screenshot. And just need to move a little closer. There we go. Bluegrass, working on a 4x8 version of Model Railroader's Salt Lake route. I'm starting to think a U-shaped layout in the same space would let me do more and run longer trains. Not familiar with their layout. I will say, though we don't hate the 4x8 here, it is true that for a room like this, if you had the space to run around the walls, you're going to get more out of your layout for the amount of floor space you need for a 4x8. Now, look, part of why I'm a big proponent of the 4x8 is because many of us live in apartments, myself included. And so the downside of living in an apartment is frequently your landlord's going to say, well, you know, don't drill a crazy amount of holes in your wall. And to do a shelf layout, either you're going to need to drill a crazy amount of holes in your walls, or you're going to need to have a crazy amount of shelves to support your layout. So with a 4x8, you know, it's a self-standing table. That's an obvious advantage. So I think so much of it depends on your space. You know, whether you should do a 4x8 or whether you should do it around the walls. I will say, if you it also depends on how many doors, closets, and things you need to access. Like this room that my office is in, even if I could attach these to the walls, there's some funky angles to it, and like every wall except for one has a door or a window, so... Okay, we're gonna bring it into San Piero now. Do our switching. One last gazing upon the viaduct. Oh. That makes me so happy. And now, yep, so we're bringing in here. I'm going to take the locomotive to the other side of the layout to turn it around. Oh, right, I've got that car spotted there, which I can't move. Interesting. Or I can move it, but I have to respot it. Now, I could also just cheat, run the whole way around the layout, and now I'm on the right side. But, yeah, I like some degree of challenge. So, we're going to turn the locomotive around, and I'm going to think what I'm going to do here. So, I'm going to have this car on the wrong side of me, which is okay-ish. I have to think what I want to do about that. Because if I come back in, I could... Well, I guess I could come back in, attach it to those cars, run around the whole train, spot the coal hoppers, then spot the flat cars. Yeah, that's going to be easiest. Maybe to keep it interesting, I'll spot one of those flat cars at the warehouse instead. Just to have something different. Okay. Yes, Luca, what are you trying to do? I know you want to be fed, boy, but it's not that time yet. Please don't knock things off of my desk. Okay. Now, it's true that this turntable is at an awkward angle, so you're always having to seesaw in and out. And so this operating scheme may not be your thing. You do you. But I'm running it just because I'm curious to see how it plays out doing it that way. And then my switches are set there. Glad you like it, Mikey Allen. I'm happy with how this turned out. Got to do something with a little bit of the Wild West frontier flavor, but not in a cartoony way. I wanted it to feel rooted in operations, and I think that this plan allows for that, and there's fun with it. And so, you know, in terms of what you could do, again, this layout, I've built it as sort of an On30 kind of deal, but you could just as well do it in its original HO scale. And I mean, Lord knows Bachman has you covered as far as your 440s, your 460s, your early, you know, your 1860 stock. You could definitely make it work with that, and then you're in just plain old HO. The advantage it's going to afford is your cars are going to be, you can make your trains a bit longer in the same amount of space in a 4x8. The curves are pretty much the same. So this is designed so that the track is HO scale, regardless of whether you're running it as HO or On30. And I'll get my shot here. Such a gorgeous model. This is available over on Trains Forge. Daniel over there does some absolutely beautiful work. Playing this makes me look forward to that Centuries of Steam game that's coming out. Don't know how if you guys are following that or excited about that. I'm definitely interested to see how that turns out. Okay, our locomotive's now facing the correct way. I mean, technically, we could have switched it the other way because we're not really back, but I want to feel like I've done a full cycle of things. Respot the cars. So I hope you guys have exciting summers ahead. As far as your travel plans, your rail fanning plans, feel free to drop a comment, whether you're watching live or after the fact, with what you've got going on, as well as what you'd love to see in a future live stream. I'm always up for your suggestions. As I say, next month we'll do something Conrail, and then I think the month after that we're gonna do another just play session with a couple of layouts that I've built. One of which is already available, one of which isn't. I think that would be fun. So, yeah. But things are flexible. So if there's, I mean, if you send me something, and I mean, as I've mentioned before, I take commissions. So if you'd like to see your layout built, yeah, heck, if you'd like to see your layout be built here on Great Train Layouts Live, and then you get the expertise of all the people chiming in as well for the kind of group collaborative effort, reach out to me at greattrainlayouts.com. Okay, so we're grabbing this car of previously spotted goods, which we'll need to take back. We're gonna tack it on with these flat cars. Then we'll run around the whole train. We're gonna put one flat car at the warehouse just to keep things a little interesting. One car is gonna go with this by the boat. Pole's gonna go for the schooner. And that'll be good. Mikey Allen, the Ponderosa map looking good. It is looking good. They just released some screenshots too of their Keystone map, which is sort of eastern U.S. narrow gauge, and honestly, that's where I have to confess, when people talk narrow gauge, everybody's like, "Oh, Colorado, Colorado." I have to confess, I've never seen the Colorado narrow gauge. I also have to confess, I'm more of an East Coast guy. I mean, I'm sure I'll make it out there. I'm sure I'll love seeing it when I do finally get to see it. But I'm still gonna be an East Coast guy. I mean, that's where my taste lies. But you do you. Okay, I'm gonna keep it easy on myself by saying that that flat car is gonna be what I take to the warehouse, so I don't have to split these guys up. And that'll make my life easy. Yay for making my life easy. So I'll probably grab these 5 in a bunch. The flat car will go there. Whole hopper's there. Those 2 cars spotted back there. And then I'll spot the whole passenger train at the station. And try about this way. Just have something interesting, like so. I'll tell you what, I am enjoying playing Railroader these days. I don't know if you guys are into that as well, or but not. But when I'm not doing this, the other live stream I host is with engineer or Professor Casey on the Virtual Railroader Academy, and I really enjoy running with that group of folks. I'm playing I never play single player in Railroader, but playing multiplayer is super fun. Okay, here we go. Back to our train. Coal and steel. Have you ever thought about doing an At the Rail Yard episode on Railroader? Okay. I have. I even started one. But, I kind of abandoned it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think a lot of what I would say are things that have been said by other people. Like Mark in particular, Heiss, his review of it was good, and I felt captured a lot of the things. You know, I think, yeah, part of why, so I started to, but by the time it was coming out, there were already a lot of people saying things about it, so I felt like I don't know that I need to say I have anything more to add to what people are already saying about it. I also feel like it's a work in progress. Um, so it just, yeah, yeah, I couldn't, it just, I didn't feel like I had enough to say with it. Because for me these days, like with doing At the Rail Yard episodes, it can't, for me, just be about doing a review of a product. Like, yes, that's sort of the basis of it, but I like when there's another layer to the story. Um, I'll tell you what I've actually been contemplating is that going back to the full bucket line, because there's a new version of the full bucket line that's been released, and I'd really love to do something about that, because with the full bucket line, it's not like, yes, I could talk about the upgrade and how it's improved the route and that kind of thing. Um, oh, interesting. I just loaded people. Um, but I would also love to talk about how resilient of a fictional railroad that's been. I mean, that railroad's 21 years old, and yet people still love it so much that they're willing to make reskins and scenery upgrades. And I think there's just something really special about the full bucket line. I'd say the full bucket line's one of the best fictional railroads ever crafted, just not just because of the original route that Bjorn Arnold made. I left that car there. Why did that get tacked on? I'm gonna five finger crane that, because I totally did leave that car there, and I'm not putting it back. We do have a schedule to keep. But it's not just because Bjorn made a really good route for its time, but because all of these other people chimed in and made all these reskins for it, and so it feels like a real railroad, and it has this sort of virtual model railroad club element to it. So yeah, there's something else to say where with Railroader, it's like, yes, I could review the game on kind of the merits of what it is and isn't, but it just, I need to be inspired creatively. I need to have something that inspires me creatively, because I'm so like, I don't have a lot of time for them these days. So if I'm gonna go back to it, there needs to be something meaty for me to do. I don't want to just be doing them in my sleep because I know how to do them. I want to have something new to say with it, something that's like, oh, this feels good to get back to. So, good suggestion. Maybe in the future I would do something with Railroader, but at this point, maybe when they like officially get out of early access, whenever that may be. But I feel like it's so well covered elsewhere. I don't know that I have anything to add. And it also changes so much. Like, I like reviewing things where there's a sense of this is the thing it is, and it's kind of basically stable, as opposed to something where it's like it could completely change in a month from now. I mean, that's why I never reviewed Railroads Online. It's like, if I reviewed it, then and then it changed and it's not so great anymore. I mean, because honestly, that's my opinion. Like, I don't play Railroads Online, and the reason I don't is because the multiplayer is so... I mean, you compare the multiplayer of Railroader and the multiplayer of Railroads Online, and it's so night and day difference. The multiplayer of Railroads Online is just not playable. So I would have hated to kind of put out a review at the time when a lot of people were optimistic about its future, myself included, and then it kind of goes through these developmental struggles, and now and it's also changed a lot since those days. It's like, I don't know that I want to review that. So, good evening, Katie. Glad you could join us. So, going back to your comments, I hope an Ozark map for Secretary of Steam. There's a good many narrow gauge in the Ozarks. We'll see. If At the Rail Yard is the review series for add-on packs, perhaps a series on the games and simulators themselves could be the dispatcher's office. It's not so much about what At the Rail Yard is. It's more just because I've reviewed Run 8 and Open Rails and Trains 19 on At the Rail Yard. So it's not about what it is. It's more just about whether I feel like there's something to say there. Like, because I'm not just a product reviewer. It's every episode I'm putting out, there's an artistic statement with it. Dean, you'd argue that the full bucket line has remained so popular because of the full bucket years. I would disagree. I think those of us who were around for the full bucket years remember it fondly, but I mean, maybe it's definitely a part of that, but I think there's new people who are discovering it who have no memory of the full bucket years. So I'd say that's a piece of it, but not the whole thing. And also, yeah, different audiences. I think there's a wider age range of folks than just the kind of age of folks who enjoy full buccaneers. Not dissing full buccaneers in any way. I mean, I enjoyed doing that show. I enjoyed voicing it. I still talk with Luke Iverson on occasion. He's over at Trains Magazine nowadays, so occasionally I have conversation with him. It's good to catch up once in a while. While Railroader and Railroads Online have different gameplay styles and structures, Railroads Online is not a great game. Yeah, I mean, for me, it would be, like, there's elements of what it does that are great. Like, yay for a game where you have track building in the world as opposed to even Train Z where I have to swap between playing and Surveyor. So, yeah, there's elements of what it does that's great, but then I just don't understand why they can't get multiplayer to be stable. It's like if Railroader could do it, Run 8 could do it as well. Run 8's fairly stable in multiplayer. Why can't you guys have a nice, stable multiplayer experience? Jimmy, to a point, but the reason I get is that the reading I get is that many people involved with MSTS content creation really didn't follow it. Yeah, that's kind of my impression too. Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of ideas I have of what would take me back to At the Rail Yard. Full Bucket Years is one, or not Full Bucket Years, Full Bucket Line. There's also a couple of 2-foot, like main 2-foot narrow gauge routes that are available that are fun. That I could see reviewing. Because it's been a while since I've reviewed a freeware thing, and I think that could be fun as well. Alright, backing up to this station, gotta get a good shot of this. Looking like something out of Petticoat Junction. Alrighty, there we have it. A full playthrough. Oh, and we're topping off with water in the steam locomotive itself. Okay, a bit weird, but fair enough. So, a full playthrough of the Overland route, which needs probably another name. I'm not sure the Overland route quite has the feel of what we're going for, but there you have it. An ON30 4x8 with operations, with three visually distinct scenes that each work in their own right. Uh, this is another one I'm happy with. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this too. Um, yeah, Donald Duck style waterfill, exactly. Um, so I appreciate you being along for the ride tonight, and always love being able to talk with you guys about different sims and so forth. Yeah, now I'm thinking about the rail yard. I would like to bring out the rail yard back for an episode this year. To be determined what that is. I'm open to suggestions, but know that if I don't take it, it's nothing personal. It has to be something that speaks to me. Um, but it's always great to do these layout builds. These are always fun to have. So we'll be building or playing something Conrail related in July. And if you want to check out previous builds, go to greattrainlayouts.com. If you want to commission me to help you design and or pre-visualize your layout, you can also go over there as well. I do take commissions. I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. But thank you so much for tuning in and being part of this fun experience. Take care. See you next time.